One important aspect with this approach is that we work to decouple urgency and value. We start with urgency before getting to value. So in the tool, you'll see three buckets, something like whenever, soon, or ASAP. And there's actually a place that you can edit these if you want to use something else. But what's important here is to focus on the impact of time on value, not the value itself. Now, sometimes when you use the word urgent, people immediately think, well, that's not very strategic. And that's not the case at all. So if you look down here, there's many strategic reasons why something might be more urgent. For example, first mover advantage, seasonal cycles, contractual obligations. That's not too strategic. Different competitive dynamics, rapid erosion of enterprise value, that would make something pretty urgent. And you'll also notice here that if you think, well, if you say something's whenever, that it's also not very strategic. But that's not the case either. For example, there are situations where you may benefit by observing and waiting to learn. There are situations where it's a saturated market with established players. And if you ship in a year, yes, you will lose some value, but you won't lose all the value. There are situations where there's long-lasting consumer preferences. Things aren't going to really change in a year. Or flexible contract terms. Again, not very strategic, but you get the idea. So the whole idea here is to put your thinking hat on and try to decouple value from the impact of time on value. You can just jump to some visualizations here just to get a sense of what I mean. Joshua Arnold has these great urgency profiles that he's written about. You should check it out. But this is a great visualization for what I'm talking about. So there are situations where, for example, a delay, in this case, let's say you ship the feature in 6 or 9 months. Yes, you will lose this area here, but then you're going to pick things back up and you've got all this value sitting here. Now, there's other situations where, for example, if you're late to a particular market, it might be difficult or really expensive to ever catch up. In that case, the cost of late entry might cause you all of this particular area right here and will permanently impact the value you have. And then finally, there are situations where if it's late, you lose everything. If you're late for a Super Bowl ad and it's the day after the Super Bowl, it doesn't give you much value. It's going to disappear really quickly. So these are great visualizations right here to get a sense of what we're talking about. But the important point here is that we're talking about the impact of delays on value. And that's, although urgency often gets, lumped in with putting out fires and not really taking care of things that are strategic, we want to take a different view here. Okay, happy prioritizing.